So the top paint is really no different than the bottom paint. Gonna get some paint on a roller, we're gonna check for the drips, make sure we don't have any drips. And we're gonna start the roll. Stopping about 1 inch from the ceiling. Now this is a paint and primer in one. So that gives us a little bit extra thickness on the paint, and it helps to avoid having to do a second coat. Although I have been told that these walls have not been painted in about 10 years. So we're most likely gonna have to do 2 coats of paint. Now, people ask you, what's the life of paint? I say to everybody, the shelf life of paint in a can is not very long, all right? If you don't take the time to treat it like a fine wine or a champagne, people that have wine cellars and wine refrigerators and all that kind of stuff, you know that you have to turn your bottles every so often so that this way the sediment doesn't build up and they stay good. Well, you kind of got to do the same thing with stored paint. My suggestion is at least once a month, take that paint can, shake it. Don't open it, just shake it. Give it a good shaking for about a good minute, nice vigorous shaking. And you will prolong the life of that paint so that if you need to do a touch-up down the line, you could use the same paint. If you use all of your paint and you don't have any left over, don't go buy another can as a backup. Keep the lid and the label somewhere in the basement, the garage, cabinet, wherever you can. Keep that lid and the label so that you know in the future what paint you used on that wall if you need to touch up, color, style, everything. Now, when it comes to paint on the wall and its life expectancy, my suggestion is every 5 to 7 years, you should be repainting your walls. As long as you're not doing an extreme color change and you use a quality paint, you most likely only have to do 1 coat of paint if you do it every 5 to 7 years. So that's one of my suggestions to you as well. Spend a few extra dollars, get quality paint, especially if it's your own home and you're gonna be there for a long time. Spend the money, make sure it looks good, get an even coat coverage. Now, being that this wall has been painted in 10, 20 years, it's probably gonna suck this paint right up, which means it's gonna be dry within an hour. At that point, I'll be looking at it to make sure it does not need a second coat. I'm already sure it's going to need a second coat just based off of experience. But one of the things we're gonna look for is called ghosts. And that's the next thing we're gonna go over. So in the last clip, we talked about ghosts. Now, I already have ghosts starting. A roller is going to put a heavier coat of paint on the wall versus your brush. Now, you can see up here how it looks lighter in a couple of spots. That's called a ghost. That's what I call it, at least. So basically, I already know that this wall is at least going to need another brush across the top. And I'm sorry, if you do another brush across the top, you might as well re-roll the entire wall. I am very big about making sure whatever you do to the wall, you do to the whole wall. Unless you're doing something artistic, then that's different. So we're gonna wait for this paint to dry. I'm gonna move on to do some more walls. And I'll put a little time lapse here so you can see what I'm doing as I move around. one last thing I want to talk to you guys about is when you're done painting for the day, okay? Say you're done painting for the day, but not painting altogether. I want you to take your roller, and I want you to get a grocery bag. And I want you to put your roller in a grocery bag, grab the handles, and twist. This grocery bag now is going to help to keep that paint wet for up to a couple of days, okay? So now we don't have to go buy another roller cover, and we don't have to re-soak it. We don't have to get it all prepped, it's ready to go. So if you're gonna be coloring with the same paint, if you're gonna be painting with the same color, I wanna see you guys do this. Wrap it in a grocery bag, it's gonna save you some money. All right, now, I'm using latex paint, and what we're gonna do now is we're gonna dump the paint that I have excess left in my pan and my cup back into the 5-gallon, and I'm gonna show you how to clean your brush. Okay, so we have dumped all the paint from our rolling pan and our cup back to the paint bucket, scraped them all down we could with the brush. Now, we need to wash our cup and our brush. So, let's start with the brush. Turn on the water. I prefer hot water when we're doing this. Now this is only going to work for latex, acrylic latex paint. This is not going to work for an oil-based paint, stains, stuff like that. Those you're going to have to use mineral spirits to clean your brushes. So we're going to get the water running. And what I like to do is use the kitchen hose connection. Okay? We're going to flip it over, spray, 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 spray. Try to get as much of the paint out of the brush as you can. Spray, 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 spray. Okay, so now we have the excess paint out of there. Now we're gonna use our hand. You could put on a glove if you want, like a kitchen glove, or latex Nitril glove, or whatever like that. But we want to get it all off the metal, and then what we're gonna do is start fanning out the bristles. Okay? Fanning out the bristles, trying to use our fingers, get the excess paint that's up on the ends of them off. This is gonna save you money. These brushes, you know, if you get a good quality brush, it's gonna last you a long time if you take care of it. If you don't care about money and you don't care about whatever, then just throw it away. But this is a $12 to $15 brush. This is not a cheap brush. And as long as you wash it out properly, you could reuse this for years. This is also why I tell you guys to get a good product. This is a good tool. This is a quality tool. This is a tool. This is not a throwaway disposable thing. They sell throwaway disposable brushes that for a couple of bucks, but we didn't get one of those. We got a quality brush. We got a quality tool. We spent a couple extra dollars, made sure we got the right tool for the job, something that's going to work very well, that's going to last us for a long time. So now I'm using a hose, kind of like a power washer a little bit in a way, fanning out, pushing down, fanning out those bristles, trying to rinse it clean, flip it over, fan them out. Because you got a lot of paint, you think it's clean, but you actually got a lot of paint still left up in the meat up here. Up by where the bristles touch the metal. There's still a lot of meat left there. So we're gonna turn it upside down a little bit, make sure that water gets in there. And then we're gonna pat it. Now, I see that the water is coming out clear. There's no more paint coming out when I do this. So we're clean. Now, you could take this brush outside, which we're not gonna do here, but you could take it outside and shake off the excess water. Now I still got some paint left in my water. It's still a little cloudy. So we're gonna give it a rinse more. There we go, now it's coming out clean. Now I'm gonna use this again tomorrow. So I'm just gonna rest it there for now. Get the excess paint off my hands. That's the nice thing about latex paint. Washes right off with a little bit of warm water. It's funny, my grandfather used to tell me how when there was a painter when he was young who gave him a couple of nickels to go to the grocery store or the deli and get some Cokes. So my grandfather, not realizing, well, okay, well, the guys are thirsty. They want some Cokes. So let me go get this for them. Not realizing that the actual guy was going to clean his painting tool with Coca-Cola. I always loved that story when he used to tell it to me. I thought it was awesome that they used Coca-Cola to clean their tools. And it just shows you what's in that stuff. I don't say anything. I'm a Coca-Cola addict. I love my Coca-Cola. And it used to be back in the day, you could hook up an IV to me. That's how much I drank it. But yeah, I just think it's funny how they used Coca-Cola to clean their painting tools. All right, so now look, you see me using a kitchen sink. You could, all right? Don't freak out. Just give it a good rinse off. If you have to, use a little steel wool or a cloth or something when you're all done, and wipe it clean the rest of the way. Get everything off the counter and the lip. If you have like an old laundry sink or a slop sink in your house, I'd use that. This is where you're gonna cook food, serve food, all that kind of stuff. You don't necessarily want to get all paint in there. So I hope you learned today how the basics of painting work. Painting 101. It doesn't get easier than anything to paint. It is so easy to paint, but yet people spend incredible amounts of money hiring people like myself to paint the walls. You can paint easily 2 bedrooms, if not more, by yourself as a beginner in a day. So, depending on the size of your house, you can paint pretty much the entire inside of your house on a weekend. Think about it. Remember, there's no guilt in not knowing. There's guilt in not willing to learn. Be a DIYer. Try to do it yourself. Save some money. I really hope you enjoyed today's episode. For another episode of The Big DIY, I'm your host, Andrew. Hope you enjoyed it. Have a great day.